Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. We've got one matter on the agenda today, which is the variation application for Origin Restaurant and Bar at 22 Foregate Street. First, could I ask you to elect a chair, please?
My name is Victoria Cullen. I'm the applicant.
Hiya, I'm Melissa, just here to support Victoria today.
I'm Jill, also support for Victoria.
So today's meeting is a public meeting, and this means that members of the public and the press are permitted to report on proceedings. Reporting includes filming, photographing and making an audio recording and providing commentary on proceedings. Please note this meeting is recorded and streamed live. These recordings are published on the relevant meeting page of the Council's website. By choosing to attend this public meeting, you are deemed to have given your consent to be filmed or recorded, and any footage to be broadcast or published. If the alarm sounds, the premises must be evacuated immediately. Do not spend time collecting personal belongings. All emergency escape routes are clearly signed. Once you have left the building, the assembly point is in the High Street opposite the Guildhall. Members and other speakers are reminded to use their microphone when speaking. So that's just the general introduction, but as far as this meeting is concerned, representations to this subcommittee are not given under oath. However, I should remind all parties that the highest standards are expected, and any deviation from these high standards could possibly influence the decision of the subcommittee. The Chair, so I understand that you've already been told there's going to be 15 minutes allocated in total to each side. The applicant can be legally represented. I don't think you have a legal no, okay, but you are aware that you could have had that. So up to this point, is everybody happy with the procedure and what's going to happen? I'd just like to remind people of a couple of other points. Only those invited to speak by the chair are allowed to speak in a meeting like this one. So you can't just shout from the sidelines or anything like that, just so you know. And I am going to allow questions to anybody who's speaking from other people in the room, but they must come through me. So that you'd address any questions to me first, and I would decide if that's an appropriate question, because the questions have to relate to what you've heard and not just a random additional question. Okay, is that all right? So the first thing that will happen then, the licensing officer, and they will present the report outlining any relevant representations and the relevances to the Worcester City Council Statement of Licensing Policy and Guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act. Oh, sorry, before we do this, we haven't introduced ourselves at this end of the table. I've just remembered that. So would you like to go?
I'm Councillor Adam Scott.
I'm Councillor Louis Stephen.
Charlotte?
Thank you, Chair. I'm Charlotte Pigeon. I'm the legal advisor to the committee.
Yes, I'm Julian Pugh. I'm from Democratic Services at Worcester City Council.
I'm Nikki Jones, Licensing Officer for Worcestershire Regulatory Services, and I'll be presenting the report today.
I'm Jill DeSarra, chairing the meeting today, Councillor for Warndon Elbury Park. Okay, would you like to proceed, Nikki, please?
Thank you, Chair. Right, so we're here today to consider and determine an application for the variation of a premises licence in respect of Origin Restaurant and Bar at 22 Foregate Street in Worcester. Bit of background, on the 1st of October 25, an application was received from Victoria Cullen for the variation of Origin Restaurant and Bar. The application contained all the documents required, including the fee, and it has been confirmed the application has been advertised as per the requirements of the Licensing Act 2003. A copy of the application is attached to Appendix 1. Members should be aware that the premises currently holds a premises licence issued by the Council, a copy of which is attached at Appendix 2. The current licence authorises the following licensable activities: late night refreshment and sale of alcohol. Both of these are Monday to Saturday till midnight and Sunday till 11:30. The applicant is applying for the following variations to the existing licence. So to include the playing of recorded music, include the performance of dance, include the performance of live music, and change the sale of alcohol times. All of these four are from 12 o'clock till 2 o'clock the following morning. The original application requested extending the variation timings till 4 o'clock in the morning. However, during the consultation period, the police proposed that they should only go till 2 o'clock in the morning, along with other operating conditions of which the applicant has agreed to. A copy of those additional conditions, which form part of the application, are also attached at Appendix 1. It should be noted that the Live Music Act 2012 disapplies live and recorded music related conditions on licensed premises where live or recorded music is taking place between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. So consultation, all of the responsible authorities have been consulted on the application and no representations have been received. However, as already stated, the police did agree additional conditions with the applicant. In response to the public notice and during the consultation period, 9 representations have been received from members of the public. These representations are citing that varying this premises licence will undermine the licensing objectives for public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, the prevention of crime and disorder. A copy of these representations are attached as Appendix 3. I'm hoping you've all had the opportunity to read them. They're quite lengthy, so I'm not going to go into detail on those now. Just a few other relevant matters. A review of the licence history shows complaints have been received in relation to the premises last year. We had a couple of noise complaints reported to Environmental Health. Emails and letters were sent out to the applicant. Following the second complaint, further email was sent to the licence holder advising the additional complaint. The response from the licence holder was that the noise was not from their venue. Licensing have also contacted the applicant, the licence holder, to advise that she must remain within her licensable activity times on the current licence. States under no further complaints were received. However, just to make you aware that since this has been published, we have received a further noise complaint from one of the residents. Again, citing the same, so it's noise.
What did it say?
Sorry, we have received a further noise complaint since this report has been done. So it's also been brought to our attention that planning conditions apply to the premises pursuant to the planning permission. These state that the premises shall be used as a restaurant only and not for any other use for Class A3. No food should be sold for consumption off the premises and no alcohol shall be sold other than accompanying to a meal. The premises shall not serve food or drink after 23:30 hours or before 0700 hours on any day whatsoever. So local policy considerations. The subcommittee should have regard to the Council Statement of Licensing Policy under the Licensing Act. Members should note that this premises is within the area specified in the licensing policy as a cumulative impact zone, so CIZ, and that consequently a special policy relating to the licence of premises within the CIZ applies. The special policy is set out, so I'm hoping you're aware of that. The special policy requires that any application for the variation of an existing licence which would add to the CIZ would normally be refused, unless the applicant is able to show the subcommittee's satisfaction that the licensable activities which are being applied for will not add to that cumulative impact. So we then go on to legal implications. I'm not going to go through the legal implications. I'm going to leave that down to Charlotte to go through. She's more qualified than me on that side of it. So for decision, the subcommittee must consider and determine the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't believe you've got any witnesses to support your case. Is that right? No. Okay. So therefore, anything from legal services at the moment, Charlotte?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to the applicant and licence holder. This is your opportunity to speak, and you have 15 minutes to do so, after which questions will be allowed.
I'm sorry, I want to question the licensing officer.
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
I want to question the...
Oh, I do beg your pardon. Right. Back we go. Questions for Nikki. Yeah, quite right.
Could you describe the premises, please, Nikki? There's not a plan, so go through the layout of the premises.
Yeah, I haven't actually been in the premises. I don't know the layout of it. The applicant would probably be better suited to explain the layout of the premises to you. A plan wouldn't have been sent in was submitted with the application because it's only a variation of the time and not a change of layout.
Okay, thanks. And a second question, in terms of the 4.1 and the representations or the comments reviewed, the complaints and letters you've received, has anyone visited to witness these yourself from the regulatory services?
I haven't, no. I know Environmental Health have been in contact with the complainants. My understanding is that they didn't receive any diary sheets back, so no further action has been taken. But whether they visited, I don't know the answer to that. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Now, the applicant, please.
Is it okay if I read from what I've wrote down? Thank you very much for the opportunity. This representation is to provide to assist members when considering the objection received in relation to the premises license variation, particularly when those objections originated from the building that are not immediate adjacent to the premises and where similar license activity operate within the same locality. Sorry. Yeah.
Could I just ask you to speak a little bit more slowly so I can hear you properly?
Yeah, sorry, just a bit nervous. So, context of the local area and existing license. The premises is located in Worcester City Centre, an area characterized by a mix of commercial, hospitality and residential use. Within proximity of the premises, multiple license venues already operate with late night or 2 a.m. license and 5 a.m. license according to the information from the licensing office, including bars with comparable and or greater capacities. The premises operate without disproportionate or persistent enforcement action, demonstrating that the area is already considered suitable. Do you mind if can I ask her to just read that for me, because I'm a little bit...
Are you asking to just end your representation and have it taken over by someone?
No, come on, you can.
Okay.
Don't be nervous. You've got.
Yeah, just a bit nervous. Sorry about that.
Can I just say, just you know,
A little
take
bit
a minute.
slower.
And,
Just slow
yeah.
down.
The variation does not introduce a new use into an otherwise quiet residential zone, but aligns with the premises with the establishment licensing of the immediate area. Weight to be given to objection from non-adjacent properties. While all representation are respected, members should consider proximity when assessing likelihood of public nuisance. The objection received originates from a building that is not directly adjacent to the premises and is separated by intervening commercial properties and public roads. No evidence has been provided demonstrating a direct aqueous pathway between the premises and the object's building, except for an evening when we had the heat wave in the summer, that the back door and the window was open due to the extreme adverse weather that affected the whole country. And once one of the tenants called my attention to this, we have hence invested in industrial fans to mitigate this issue. Verified noise readings attribute to this premises. We have older bars that played loud music every weekend, Fridays and Saturdays, or substandard compliant upheld by environmental health, specific to the activity proposed apart from the same building, the Victorian Institute. In licensing terms, the potential impact of residents is materially different for immediate neighbors than those further away, particularly in the city center environment. Public nuisance and noise management. The premises operate under the strict noise control and will continue to do so. We initially applied for a license to operate till 4 a.m., but after concern raised by the residents of Victoria Institute, we considered changing the time to 2 a.m. as we want to be part of the community and work together to create an environment that is welcoming and not hostile for neighbors. Measures included a calibrated noise limiter set can be agreed with environmental health. Doors and windows remained closing during regulated entertainment. Activity management of customer disappraiser or at closing times. Regular internal and external noise monitored by management. Importantly, there is no outdoor entertainment, no external speaker, and no intention to operate as a nightclub. The premises remain food-led and hospitality-focused. As a business, we have noticed the trends in food-led to only business are struggling to the economic situation of the country. We have noticed the decline in the hospitality industry, and people would rather spend £20 to have a drink and a dance. And so as a new business that is struggling to keep afloat, we are doing everything in our power to keep the business going. The timing, the variation provides operational flexibility rather than a change of primary use. The premises does not operate every night maximum intensity, and extended hours are used selectively for pre-booked events and control hospitality service. This consistent is the operation of other nearby venues and does not materially increase the cumulative impact beyond what is licensed in the area. So I see why ours will be treated differently. Crimes and disorder. The premises maintain robust safety and security measures, including SIA registered door supervisor during the late hours, comprehensive CCTV coverage, clear incident and refusal logbook, zero tolerance policy for disorder, drugs or weapons. There is no evidence that the premises have contributed to crime or disorder in the locality beyond what would be reasonably expected in city center nighttime economy. Recently, we have provided the CCTV images for police that we hope to apprehend some of the intruders disturbing the old bingo hall and the surrounding. From one of the objection email, they refer that our event will be attracting people from Birmingham and surrounding areas. I believe this is a positive impact rather than a negative one, unless the objector can clarify what they meant by that statement, as I would not like to assume. I believe one of the enterprise goals is to celebrate the diversity of our beautiful town and bring people to our city to increase trades, support the local business. They will have to give statistics evidence that the crime committed in the area is directly caused by our event or by our business. If that is not the case, I get this cannot be used as an evidence or logical reason for application not to be granted. On the proportionality and licensing of objectives, members are respectfully invited to consider whether refusing or restricting this variation would be proportionately given. The existence of multiple nearby late licensed premises, the non-adjacent nature of the objection, all the complaints are from the same building, Victorian Institute. The absence of sustained nuisance evidence in 2 years, we have received 2 forms from the same building, and one was during the mentioned above when the heat wave when we opened the door. And robust control measure already in place. I also have a letter from our landlord stating that there were no complaints ever from the flat that is directly above the premises, which we respect concern. While we respect the concern of Victorian Institute resident, the Licensing Act 2003 is clear that decisions should be based on evidence, not speculation, and should promote the licensing objective without placing unnecessary restriction on responsible operators. In conclusion, for me, this representation is to intend to not to diminish resident consent, but to provide context and balance. We have demonstrated a responsible approach to licensing and operating within area designated for late night hospitality. We have invested thousands of pounds after we contacted the police and the fire department to make sure we comply with their suggestion. And we have gone above and beyond to show that we are keen, responsible, respected business who wants to be part of the community that raised my kids and supporting my business. I was made aware of the advert submitted by the objectors. While we submitted the application, we initially applied till 2 a.m. and been doing this to this issue was the case. Even when the first complaint came, I stated that this until they told me that the premises will still be running under the previous occupier. So let me just quickly explain that. So previously, when I got the premises, it was transferred, the license was transferred, and when I made the application, I put the 2 a.m. to operate time, but when the license was transferred, it was transferred under the previous people, which stated to 11:30. I didn't get any confirmation or letter to say otherwise, that I have to stick with that because I was operating on what I've submitted, which is 2 a.m. And when this issue came, I applied, I spoke to someone from the department and from the WRS, and that's when I made the application again and paid to extend it to 2 a.m. So just want to be clear about why the initial one was raised. I am a law-abiding individual who has respect for the law. I have demonstrated this by constantly communicating with the licensing office, and they have helped me to navigate a lot of my initial mistake while I was filling the form and pointing me to the right direction. It would be unfair to use this mistake to judge me as it was an honest mistake. I've done everything to correct this. It's therefore respectfully submitted that the objection should be afforded limited weight and the variation can be granted without undermining the license objective or residential amenity. We refer with that this variation being granted, we will foresee a business that will be shutting its door soon as the business is at the verge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to invite any questions from the members of the subcommittee.
Thanks. Same question I asked Nikki. Could you talk us through how the premises work, and in particularly, I'm worried about what measures, how the building works in terms of controlling sound.
Okay, so the layout of the restaurant, so you've got the little small, like a foyer, like a waiting area. So you go down and then you come up again before you reach the seated area where the customers sit. And we still have, we've not changed the layout, the tables and chairs, even when we have in the event, the tables and chairs are still there. So it's not like a dance floor. And with the noise mitigation, because we've made sure we shut the door, and we've also invested in buying noise meters, well, I forgot what they call, but that measured out the volume. How high is the volume? So we could, if I see that, and then I said to the DJ, it needs to, you know, we can't go, we've set a limit, which I check online to see what is the reasonable, you know, amount of noise that you expected in a building, and that's what we've set it up to. And the DJ is far at the back, which makes that the noise traveling, you can't even, when we have an event, you can't even hear in the front of the restaurant. People are like, is this place? And people even asking the question we're looking for, because we have a security officer. That's when they told them that, oh, this is the place. So you could hardly hear the noise at all when the music is playing because of the layout of the buses, because the noise has to travel up and down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you go down and you're into the dining area, which is also where you hold events.
So you go down, then you come up against another layout.
Right.
So it's like,
And is there an outside seating area or smoking area?
no, there's no smoke. We have no sitting area from the back or the front.
So was there emergency doors at the back?
Yes, so we've got emergency door at
And
the back.
windows?
Say that again?
Windows?
No. We've got windows on that is on the roof, which we never open that, because you've got to climb a ladder in the middle of the restaurant to open that.
Right. So where do you think the noise is emanating from?
I believe it's not from either from ours, because we've got other bars across. So I did say to them, when the guy came to me when we had the event, we had the window open, the door open, because it was during the heat wave. And once he said that, I went to invest in industrial fans, so not to ever open that door. So we don't open that door in case there's an emergency. We've never had emergency, so we don't open the back door.
Okay, and last question from me. So your first license is 2005, I think.
Yeah.
And have you been? When did you start having events, music events, and festival nights?
I think it'll probably be towards the end of the June, May, June 2005.
So just last year?
Yeah, just last year. Yeah, and it's just probably once a month, once in 3 months. So it's not every weekend or every Friday or Saturday that we do this event or anything like that. So compared to people around us, the event is every Friday and Saturday. I'm a mom. I try to get home on time to my kids. So we don't do events every weekend.
Okay. In your presentation, you talked about the reason why you basically you had some complaints because they were after midnight, and you said that the reason was because, well, I didn't really understand your explanation. Could you perhaps put it in really, really basic terms about why? I think the rules are that you were allowed to go up to 12, and then you were making, obviously, some sound coming out after 12. Can you explain what it was that caused the problem, why you went beyond 12 o'clock?
Okay, thank you for that. When they came to me with this information, I had an understanding that my license was till 2 a.m. So my first initial application that I submitted was 2 a.m. But when they did the transfer on the previous applicant, which was operating on that, which was the 11:30. And so until that incident happened, that's when I not contacted the, which is in the email that I submitted, the environmental, I forgot her name. And I said, oh, I've got the license till 2 a.m. And she was like, oh, yeah, okay, then that's fine. Then she came back to me a few weeks, and then that's when she said, oh, I think you need to contact the licensing office to make sure that they've got the right timing on your license. And when I check online as well, the updated the license timing was not online. It was the old one. I didn't even see mine. So I contact them. That's when they made me realize it was the license was only running on the previous tenant. Then that's when I submitted a new application for to extend the hours.
So I'm just going to clarify about the layout. So when you go through the front doors,
Yeah.
you go down,
Yeah.
then back up again,
Then back up
and
again.
then you're back onto the same level as on the front, or is it lower, or what? How?
I would say a little bit higher because we've got steps that go up to the flats. So it's just a little bit,
A bit higher than ground level, normal ground. Yeah,
I think probably same level.
yeah, same level.
Yeah, same level. It just goes down, come back up, and then because we've got a cellar. So yeah, that's
Yeah. So none of what you do is actually in the cellar.
No,
It's only
no,
the
no.
cellar to get access to get
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to the approximately the same level.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In your presentation, you talked about a calibrated sound limiter.
yeah.
Now, that sort of implies to me that when it gets to a certain sound level, then it would automatically limit it down, but then you then say, oh no, if it gets to a certain thing, you have to like read a meter, then you have to go and tap on the DJ's collar and say, can you just turn it down? Is it an automatic system, or is it self-limiting?
It's not automatic. So we put on the like the bar. So because if I see it, or anybody noticing which we shared one copy with the DJ as well, we just kind of like, okay, that is which in the past, since they've reported the first initial one, that's when we invest in that. And it's never been the case to say, oh, reduce it down now, it's too high. It's always kind of like set in that base, and he knows that it can't go beyond that.
Okay, so I've got a few more questions about that. So can you say what the sound level is that you are allowed to go up to, and how did you decide what that sound level should be?
Online, that's what, yeah, and this is what I've put in this place.
Yeah.
I'm ready to work with the environmental agency to tell me, because I've asked the question before when I spoke to her, saying, okay, so what are we allowed to? Because other bars, I could even hear it from my own establishment when the other bars are playing, but you can't even hear by the door. So what is the average, or what is the set that is allowed? They've not been able to give me.
So can you say what the sound level is that you operate to?
Without checking my phone, I think it was 66 something. I can't remember, but I've put it down.
All right, well, maybe you can find out later.
Yeah.
Okay, and my other question then on this is, I get a feeling this has been introduced fairly recently. When did you start operating with this new sound meter?
This was just about a couple of, this was about last year.
When? In the beginning of last year, or?
No, towards the late last year when this happened, because it was after I spoke to the police officer.
So these are sort of mitigations you
Yeah,
put
so
in,
yeah, that put in place.
discussing
Yeah,
with the police
yeah,
officers.
yeah.
So this would have been about October, November? Or?
Yeah, but that's when we got the CCTV, also got all that, because after having a consultation with the police and the fire department, those were the things that I asked them, what can I do to, what from my own hand, what can I do to mitigate this issue? And they've said those are the things that you could put in place, and then that would show that you care. So that's what I've done that.
Okay, and I think my last question at this stage is, so over perhaps the last sort of 3 months, say last 3 or 4 months, how many events have you done that have been sort of, with music and
Two.
It's about two. About two.
But yeah, about two.
Okay.
About two.
In the last 3 months.
Yeah.
That would be late night. You
Yeah.
could call it late night. Okay.
Yeah. Till yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think.
Fine. I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, I've got some questions, please. I'm trying to get a timeline in my head so you said that you were under the impression that your license was until 2 a.m. from the very start of your business. I think whether or not you've got a license, disturbing people isn't really allowed. So, I think that's maybe a different thing. But can you tell me the timing of when you actually found out, oh, actually, I don't have a licence, and how that relates to the posters
Okay.
and the events that seem to have been happening fairly frequently. You know, so had all of these been and gone, the last one being January, before you realised that you didn't have a licence, or is there some other situation here?
Okay, so the post that you're referring to is from the DJ, not from us.
Right.
And we did say this one was 17th of May. So this was before I was made aware. So before I was made aware, the license is not till.
So what date was that, is what I was trying to establish. When was it that you realised you had to apply for a different sort of licence?
Sorry, say that again.
When was it that you realised you had to apply for a different licence than the one you had?
I think it was around July. The first email that I sent was it. I think it's probably July or August. Just gonna look at the email. Yes, July.
July, so
That was when the EAT waivers were happened. And before this application as well, there were 2 other applications I've made, but by the time they get back to me, it was, I filled the wrong form, and this is why I clarified that they had to come to me, that it's a different form, that it's not, I applied for an extension, but they came back to me to tell me that it's not the extension that I need to apply for, it's the variation I need to apply for. So that was what it took between that July for them to, for the new application to be set. So
can I just ask why you thought it was okay to hold events you didn't have a licence for? Because you absolutely knew that was the case.
no, not before, this is what I mean, not before.
You said July was when you knew
Yeah.
you had to make a variation
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you knew something was missing
Yeah.
in what you thought you could do. And yet you had
Yeah, but
events in October and also in January.
Yeah, I have license to do till midnight.
So the July ones, I think. So the October one says till late, but what did that actually mean in reality?
In reality, midnight till when we have the license to.
Okay. And the one, so it's not specific either on the 31st of January, is it 9 p.m. onwards, it says? Yeah, okay.
Just to even clarify, we have an event that is coming up this Saturday. Because of all this, we've actually put it from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. We could have, because it's not a, sorry.
Okay, thank you, you've answered the question. Appreciate that. Anything from legal services at this point, Charlotte?
No, thank you, Chair.
Anybody, any of the objectors who wish to put it, but please put the question to me first, if that's okay, and there have to be clarifications.
When you're questioning the lady about the premises, do you understand that the premises are very old? They've probably got 9-inch brickwork walls, if that, because they were built many years ago, and therefore they've not got the insulation that...
Sorry, that's not really a question.
Oh, isn't it?
of-
Sorry,
no.
okay. I do apologise.
At this point, you will have a chance. but
Okay,
at
it's
this
okay. I
po-
just thought, oh, I wonder if you realise if you'd been out there to have a look at it. Sorry.
So this is for anybody who has a question from what you've heard
Right,
from
okay.
the applicant, and that's all at this point. Any other questions? Anything from you, Nikki?
Sort of a question, but also a clarification, really, if that's okay. So in terms of the transfer application, when we receive a transfer application, it transfers the premises licence like for like. Okay, once the transfer application has been agreed, the licence is emailed out to the licence holder. So, are you saying, sorry, I was just going to, can I speak to the applicant or through you? Yeah, so are you saying that when you received the transfer application, when you received the premises licence or the details to say that transfer application had gone ahead, are you saying that you didn't receive a copy of that licence?
No, not until I spoke to someone and the email, not until after the incident happened, that I spoke to someone from the department that they emailed it to me. And so
So you didn't know when the transfer application went ahead, and we confirmed that the transfer application, the premises licence was now in your name. You're saying that you didn't get a copy of this transfer,
no,
this
not
licence in your name?
Yeah, not until after. So what happened? When I was trying to transfer, we had a problem because the previous people had disappeared, and it took about 3 months to chase them. Eventually, when they it was a day before we actually opened that I got when I spoke to someone over the phone saying we're supposed to open tomorrow. I need to know where we stand because this has been printed and all that. It was a day before that they gave me the go ahead that yes, but nothing was said to me until I questioned, because if I have what's it called now? The license, the premises license, I wouldn't have known that I'm allowed to make to midnight. It was after that event that I spoke to a license, then they emailed that to me.
Okay, yeah, no further questions at this point. So.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a question, a clarification on what's been said? Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask for clarification on the licence, the difference in the hours between music and alcohol? Because my understanding was that the music licence is only until 11 p.m, but I have heard several references to it being midnight. My understanding was that the alcohol licence is midnight, but music is 11 p.m. So can I please ask for that clarification?
Yes, I believe it's music is 11:30, and I just believe midnight. Everything is till midnight.
Nikki?
So with a licensed premises, you can have music up until 11 o'clock at night without having to, I suppose, apply for another licence to extend it later, because you've got the Live Music Act that deregulates that any licensed premises can have, they don't have to have recorded or live music listed on the licence if it only goes up till 11 o'clock. Anything past 11 o'clock requires a variation to the licence. So on this licence, on the current licence you've got obviously the standard music up until 11 o'clock, no later. You've got sale of alcohol up until midnight on Monday to Saturday, 11:30 on a Sunday, and late night refreshment Monday to Saturday up till midnight, and late night refreshment on a Sunday, till 11:30. So music cannot go past 11 o'clock.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Referring to the points made about the windows and doors at the back being closed, which were informed to us by the applicant, in this mitigation plan, there's a point in 4.1 that says windows and back areas will close by blank to reduce late night noise. So I want some clarification on that point that's not been filled in completely and is different to what the applicant said today.
Certainly, yeah. Would you like to answer that, please?
Sorry, could you repeat that, please? Sorry.
In the mitigation plan, it says in 4.1, hours of operation, it says windows and back areas will close by blank to reduce late night noise, yet you mentioned in a previous point that you don't have the windows or the doors open at all.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify which point is correct and why this is incorrect in the mitigation plan.
Yeah, so the reason why that is in the plan is this was when I was having a conversation with one of the environmental, and she asked me to send my mitigation plan to her, and which I've explained before. The only time we had the window and the door open was during the heat wave, and ever since then we've not had the back door or the window open, because we've after speaking to her, we've put industrial fan into the place, so we don't have the need to open or the back door or the window.
Yeah, Adam?
Yeah, I think you need to clarify that a bit more. So it's on the thing you circulated beforehand, on the second page. So this is your noise mitigation plan that you're saying that you'll do this to control the noise. You say music and entertainment will stop at 2, windows and back areas will close by, and it doesn't say a date. So, so are they not going to open at all, or what?
It's not open at all, because we...
So it should say windows and back areas will be closed permanently.
Yeah, it should say that, but...
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because it's an emergency door, so even though it's always closed, but we never open it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I think we're ready to move on now to representations. So 15 minutes in total for everybody who wishes to speak. How many people do wish to speak? Three of you. Are you planning to share it 5 minutes apiece? Broadly. In which case, I will give you a sort of warning, 30 seconds before that 5 minutes has elapsed each of you. Okay.
It's one of the residents of Victoria Institute, Dr. Levy. Would you like me to read that out? It's talking about the nuisance of noise, and
It's up to you what you wish to say.
I think really we're covering it all as we're talking today, to be honest. Okay, I live at Victoria Institute at the museum end, actually, if you know it, on Taylor's Lane, along with apartments 22, 10 and 5. We all, these apartments are the most affected by the proposal to grant this licence, for extra hours. Currently, we had a problem last year. I haven't heard it this year, but I will go about it. Closing time at Origin, owing to the fact that the premises do not appear to have their own clear access to the bin in the main car park, necessitating a kitchen porter from the restaurant to push a wheelie bin full of bottles and restaurant waste through their external gate, situated at the end of the Solicitors Shingle car park in Taylor's Lane. I have put some pictures in your pack. Where the lodge, and then he pushes the bin out into the main car park in the council park, and that gets emptied every day. Can you imagine the racket that we've gone through with this routine when the kitchen porter at the end of a shift goes in and then throws all the bin, the bottles and all the food waste and everything else into this bin? As I say, I haven't heard it over the last few weeks, but then it's after Christmas and it's probably died down a little bit. But it kept me awake at night, most nights, because you got the rattling of the bottles and everything else. My bedroom is directly below that area. The other point I wanted to make was that a couple of weeks ago, one evening, round about 1:30 in the morning, I was in the lounge looking down Taylor's Lane, and there were 3 youths came running down Taylor's Lane. They disappeared behind that little car park at the end, the one that belongs to, on the corner. It's again in the pictures. And they disappeared behind these cars. And I don't know what they were getting up to, but one suddenly left and ran off, leaving the other 2 behind the cars. What they were doing, I don't know. that sort of situation bothers me. They did leave after about 10, 15 minutes, but that sort of situation really bothers me about the security and everything around the area. When people are, you don't know what they're doing, what they're up to. The street is well lit now. We've had some new lights put down the right-hand side of Taylor's Lane, which does help. But I do have concerns that this type of situation could become a real problem if there were more people around due to the late opening. Because, you know, walking around that particular area, parking the cars on the main car park and things like that. Finally, I'd like to draw your attention to the Foregate Arms, where their closing time for Friday and Saturday is 1 a.m. and weekends and Sundays is set at 11 o'clock. This seems a reasonable balance to me. If Origin were to be granted a 2 a.m. licence, given the issues raised, would this not set a precedent for others to follow suit? And that's next.
Well within the time, thank you. Any questions at all from committee members?
Anything you want to?
When you're talking about these youths in the car park hanging about,
Yes.
how do you know they were coming from Origin restaurant?
I didn't know they were. I'm just using that as an example of people, once they're around the area late at night,
Okay.
late licences and that sort of.
Next person then, please. So when you're ready, your 5 minutes will start. Would you start just by identifying yourself? Would you start by just identifying your...
Okay, my name's Clive Spencer. I'm a director of the Victoria Institute Management Company. I'm also a resident with a property facing towards the premises in question. I'd like to make a couple of quick points, first of all. One is the process of this, and this probably isn't for this hearing, but the idea of having to publicise these licence requests is not sufficient, in my opinion. That's the reason I think that you find the only people here today as represented is because we happen to, by chance, find one of our residents who saw the application in the window of the premises. I think it needs more publicity, basically. This is of high impact to a lot of people, dozens of people, perhaps hundreds of people who live within earshot of the premises. Secondly, I've read in the applicant's blurb that they talk about bringing vibrancy to Foregate Street. And I think, in my opinion, it's already vibrant enough. Within 50 or 60 metres of the premises, there are already 7 licensed premises. That's roughly from here to the Pump Street or from here to across to Marks and Spencer's. I think that's vibrant quite enough. Then I'm either fortunate or unfortunate enough to having experienced the noise last year, which I'm unfortunate in it kept me awake or woke me up and then kept me awake, but I'm fortunate in having the knowledge now of what's going to happen if this licence is varied to go through to 2 o'clock in the morning. I put it to you that this wakes me up. It wakes a lot of people up. It's disturbing sleep pattern, and it's likely to happen apparently 7 days a week. Okay, just imagine you're going home tonight, going to bed, expecting to have a good night's sleep, and it's disturbed by the volume of noise coming from the premises. Then you get up the next morning tired, wanting to go to work or whatever. The same thing's going to happen the next night. This is tonight, tomorrow night, the next night, the night after that, the whole week, week after week, month after month. Okay, and that would be intolerable. The question here, my prime concern is the noise. And we've been presented with a mitigation paper, which, as on our way in here, which quite frankly is pointless. I just, that's my only concern really. I don't want to be a killjoy, and quite happy to people to enjoy themselves, but not at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I put it to you that you consider the wishes of the residents of both the Arboretum ward and the Cathedral ward and reject this application, or at least amend it. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah. So, in the last sort of 3 months period, have you experienced noise, late night noise? In the
Well, I
last
haven't been
3
here
months?
all of that time, I have to admit. But my most concern was going back to the summer and autumn.
My other question is that obviously when we come to determine this, we can either reject it, we can approve it, or we could suggest amendments.
Yes.
So one amendment could be that it's just at the weekends, for example. What does that sound like to you?
It would still sound horrific. An amendment of the time might be appropriate.
Adam, any questions? No. Any questions, Charlotte?
No, thank you, Chair.
Any questions from that side, yes?
Sorry. Obviously, I know that we're going through the other representatives. When that sort of everybody's given their sort of their say, would it be possible that if I just have 2 minutes just to give my representation, if that's okay?
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
There'll be a summing up time.
Yeah, that'd be fabulous. Thank
You
you.
can put it in there. Okay.
Yeah. I do have.
In fact, all the time was used up in the first place anyway, so
Oh
that
no, I'm
you
so
couldn't
sorry.
have done it then anyway.
I'm so sorry. But I do have a question, if this is okay. The gentleman has mentioned about, obviously, yes, there are many licensed venues within that street. And it's just to clarify really that these events actually happen once or twice a month. It's not something that would be Monday to Sunday. It's once or twice a month. And the other venues that are within those licensed premises actually are until 2 o'clock themselves. So it's just to see where that lies and how by this establishment being any different to another establishment which is on that row, which are directly in front of those properties. I'm just curious.
Well, I can answer that question because we don't have any problem with the other noise from the other premises. The only problem we've had is from Origin.
Can I just, so there's obviously a conflict here. Unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, you seem to be saying that the noise disruption was extremely frequent. Has been in the past extremely frequent. Is that right?
No, I wouldn't say they've been frequent at all. But they're harmful. They're harmful to mental and physical health. And the prospect of you approving this is that it can be 7 days a week. I hear what they're saying. I hear what they're saying about the noise. But if the license is granted, it could be open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, no, you've made that point.
Thank you.
I'm still slightly confused. It seems like you're living in two parallel worlds. We have a world here that is described as running events infrequently and with no open windows or doors, and an experience from your side of things that is not that. So I'm just really trying to understand what...
My experience is that it has been infrequent, but the license allows for it to be 7 days a week.
Did you want, was it a clarification on what's been said?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that even though the license says Monday to Sunday, we have no intention of opening events Monday to Sunday. It's never our intention to do that. It's maximum 3 times a month. That is maximum that we even if that. And also I was going to ask a question earlier from the lady that spoke as well with the wheelie bin as well. What the car park you've indicated is not ours. We don't even go there at all. Even though we have access to the solicitor leave the gate open. We never use it to take the bin. So the noise you're hearing is definitely not ours. We don't use a wheelie bin to take the bin. Our bin is in the the compound where the old bingo hall is, and we don't use Willie Bean at all. We use Black Bag because we understand that the residents are there. We never use Willie Bean. We've never make noise, and they refer also to the boys running around. We've had the bingo hall have break-in maybe 3 times a week. We've been helpful by putting a camera there, and we've used that, which is one of the things that we've used a camera to capture few people, which we've sent to the police, and even the company that is managing that building. We've been, we've sent that to those images.
Okay, it's helpful to have the comment, but it's not really relevant to your license extension.
Yeah, I just, because I was supposed to ask a question.
But even that comment wasn't really relevant to the license extension as far as I could see. But so I think we'll probably leave that there.
Sorry.
Any other questions from anybody else? Is there a next speaker now, please?
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Adrian Chaffee. Sorry. No, Tom. My name is Adrian Chaffee. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for hearing this representation. I speak today as both a resident of the Victoria Institute and a director of the Victoria Institute Worcester Management Company. I also represent Air Vice Marshal Mark Neal, OBE, a fellow resident and until recently the long-standing chairman of the management company, who is unfortunately unable to attend today. You have seen the many written representations from local residents and heard from 2 of my neighbours. The objections raised by Victoria Institute residents fall into several consistent themes: public nuisance, public safety, repeated licence breaches, inadequate soundproofing, misleading application details, and the wider impact on the community. I will not repeat all of those. Instead, I want to focus on 3 core objections, which, taken together, make this application not just unsuitable, but fundamentally incompatible with your responsibility to uphold the licensing objectives. First, the applicant does not have and cannot demonstrate independently adequate soundproofing. Evidence already before Worcester Regulatory Services shows that the premises fails to meet required noise limits post 11 p.m. Residents have endured repeated late-night disturbance because the premises simply cannot contain amplified music at the levels being played. Crucially, the applicant has provided no independent acoustic assessment to show that these failures have been rectified. Without verifiable soundproofing, granting a 2 a.m. licence would knowingly expose residents to ongoing harm. It would be a licence issued in the full knowledge that the premises cannot comply. Second, a 2 a.m. licence would inevitably increase late-night traffic and disturbance in the adjacent Taylors Lane car park. This area is currently very quiet at night, used mainly by residents of Taylors Court and Pierpoint Street whose properties lack parking. The acoustics of the car park amplify even small amounts of noise. Extending Origin's hours would introduce vehicle movements, engine noise, door slams, and late-night comings and goings directly beneath the bedroom windows of multiple buildings. Approving this application would be a deliberate decision to introduce predictable, unavoidable disruption into a residential environment at a time when people are entitled to sleep. Third, and most seriously, approving this licence would effectively condone a clear pattern of past breaches. The applicant has repeatedly operated beyond their permitted hours, despite reminders and interventions from Worcester Regulatory Services, with numerous witnesses and complaints. To grant an extension now, whilst those breaches remain unaddressed, would reward non-compliance. It would signal that licence conditions are optional and that enforcement carries no consequence. Residents are deeply concerned that such a decision would undermine the credibility of the licensing regime and risk bringing the committee itself into disrepute. Your role as the committee is not simply to consider what the applicant wants. Your role is to uphold the law, protect the Worcester City Council licensing objectives, and ensure that those who hold licences do so responsibly. Granting this application would do the opposite. It would knowingly permit a venue that cannot meet noise conditions, introduce new late-night disturbance into the local community, and, most seriously, legitimise a proven history of licence breaches. For these reasons, we respectfully but firmly urge the committee to take the correct decision and refuse the application. Thank you.
Any questions from the subcommittee, please?
In your presentation, you talked about rewarding non-compliance, poor behaviour, I guess. And yet we hear from the other side that once they knew that what the rules were, they said that they then start to comply. So I think up until about July of last year, they're maintaining that they didn't know, okay, whatever that defence is, okay. But what they're saying is after that point, after about July of last year, they then were behaving within the rules. So can you clarify then, after say July of last year, how many instances of problems have you had since July last year when they knew what the rules were?
I can very strongly contradict that. The first complaint, I believe, went to WRS from a fellow resident of mine in very late June, perhaps the first week of July. I personally complained in the middle of July. That was the occasion that the applicant has referred to where they closed the doors and windows. I submitted noise readings taken from an app on my mobile phone. I accept that's not a calibrated piece of equipment, but it's probably close enough, given that the volumes I was recording were peaking at around 60 decibels, and my bedroom is 45 metres away across open air. So that means that it's very loud. When the doors and windows were shut, I took further readings and it dropped it by 4 decibels. And I have all of that data, it's available, and it's been previously submitted under one of the previous references numbers that I understand has been made available to you. The following week, having made this face-to-face complaint and taken the data, the volume was louder. So no action was taken, quite the opposite. This would be probably the last week in July. Those particular DJ party nights are on your papers.
So what sort of time of night was that then, that the noise was happening?
This is, the readings I took were around 1:30 a.m. The music finished on one evening at around 2:10 a.m. and the other one almost 2 a.m. on the dot, for the two where I took specific readings in July last year. I submitted the complaint to WRS. It went to originally the noise people because when I met directly with the applicant, she told me she had a license. So, okay, fair enough, you've got a license, then my complaint is about the volume of noise. However, the feedback that I got from WRS after it being redirected to the licensing committee was they haven't got a license. So I changed tactic for obvious reasons. Or rather, more to the point, I've combined two different issues. So I would have to double check on the laptop the exact dates, but I believe the applicant was told very clearly, and the words that were in the email that I received from Nikki were that they were reminded of their responsibilities, was, I believe, in late August or early September. That did not stop them advertising, for instance, one of the other events that I have submitted in October, which was at the same volumes again. There was, you asked...
Go back to that one in October. What time of night was that then?
Same, 1:30, 1:45.
Okay.
You also asked Clive, I think it was, what the history and how the regularity of these issues are. I can tell you that we have a residents WhatsApp group for all the people that live in the Victoria Institute. At 11:45 last Saturday, somebody got out of bed walked around to the place, recorded the noise and a video from in front of their front door because the bass was hammering through and had woken him up. And that is past the 11 p.m. curfew. So despite what the applicant has said earlier about installing noise controlling equipment, one of the prime issues here that you'll probably know is that bass is always the biggest problem, because bass, your ears might not say it's loud, but it thrums through the building, it thrums through the floor, and you can't mitigate that unless you just turn it down. But what the kind of events that the applicant has been holding and is still intending to hold, as far as I can tell, are DJ party nights. You don't have a DJ party night if you don't have loud bass, do you? It's not realistic.
Any other questions? I think it's probably worth saying that this committee is only reviewing an extension to an existing licence. We are not doing a licence review. That would be a completely different meeting. So that is not what we're here to look at today. Anything to add to that, Charlotte, for me?
No, I don't think so, Chair.
Certainly.
The reason I raised that, I totally understand what you say, and I kind of expected you to. However, the point behind it is that previously the applicant has said they will do things which they have not done. And in this application, they are saying that we will only hold 2 events a month. We will only hold 3 events a month. But they're applying for 31 days a month licence.
Yeah, we do understand that point. May I just ask Nikki, in terms of WRS and their response to the complaints that you have received, have you got any calibrated, with your official equipment, noise information? Because anything on a mobile phone, it's not, legally, it's just how it is. Do you have anything that you can tell us about that?
Environmental Health can put noise monitoring equipment into people's homes if they make the complaints come through, and they can see how it works is with a noise complaint, it will go to Environmental Health. An initial letter will be sent out to the alleged perpetrator, reminding them advising them of noise complaints. If it continues, Environmental Health will then send out noise monitoring diary sheets to applicants. If they get those back after so many weeks, they will then determine whether they feel that noise monitoring equipment should be put into a premises to monitor the level of the noise. That way they can determine whether a statutory noise nuisance is occurring. My understanding is that hasn't happened, because I think from what Environmental Health had told me, diary sheets weren't received, so they haven't taken that any further. But they do have the potential to, yes, put equipment in that will monitor those noise levels.
And is there a legal decibel, limit that you would be applying?
Oh, I can't answer that one because I don't work in Environmental Health, but I would imagine there will be. But what it is, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Yes?
That's something that can be very easily Googled, and I think you will find that the limit is 34 decibels after 11 p.m. for neighbourly noise. Hence why I made the point earlier that if I'm recording average levels of 51 decibels, albeit on uncalibrated equipment, and maximum levels in excess of 60 decibels, it probably doesn't matter whether it's calibrated or not, because it's so far above the legal limit, it almost becomes irrelevant.
Well, it does matter that it's calibrated, because we have to have a legal basis to work from, because that's how it is. So can you tell me why no diary sheets were completed by anybody?
Because the events were sporadic, and what they sent out was something saying record every single event in the next 10 to 14 days. So because they were sporadic, there wasn't one. So there's nothing to return.
I understood, thank you. Any other questions at all from this side? No? Okay. Cooper's not intending to speak, is she?
question.
Oh, certainly,
of the
yes.
applicants, again, just from what I heard there.
Sure, yes,
Is that
yes.
right? Okay, so Adrian Shaffi has said that in October there was an incident where there was a noise issue, a complaint, and that it was beyond 11 p.m. And obviously this is a point which is after you knew what the rules were, okay? So on one side, I've got you saying we comply with the rules now we know what the rules are. And then I've got the objector saying, no, that's not really happening. So can you please give us a little comment, please, on that particular incident? We're talking October. This is after, I think you knew the rules, and about why or what happened there, that it was October, that there was another problem.
Yeah, if I understand the question, he's saying it was after October 11 p.m. We still have the license to play music till then. So not past midnight or 2 a.m. So we haven't played music till 2 a.m. since October, or before that, since we submitted a new application.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah.
Two stated positions here. One is saying that they say there was noise at 1:30 a.m. in the morning, and they're saying no, we were limited to 11 o'clock. So, yeah.
I think, and please correct me if I've got this wrong, that the 1:30 incident was not the October one, or was it the October one? It was the October, okay. Fair enough. Closing statements then. I would like, first of all, to ask you, Nikki, to make a closing statement, please.
Thank you, Chair. So just to remind you, we're here to consider and determine an application for the variation of the premises licence for Origin Restaurant and Bar. You've had the opportunity to hear the report, you've had the opportunity to hear from the applicant, and you've had the opportunity to hear from the objectors. I just want to remind you that the bar is in the CIZ zone, so you need to obviously take into the special policy of that. So now you've heard from all sides, it's down to members to consider and determine the application, whether you want to accept it as it is, whether you want to reject it, or whether you want to make amendments to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please.
Hello, yeah. Thank you for listening today. I just want to bring to you that I've known Victoria. I'm a professional person myself, and I've known Victoria for 20 years now. Wonderful person, wonderful mother, 2 amazing children, and really gives a lot to the community, a lot to where she lives, a lot to Worcestershire in general. Very, very a person which wants to work within the community to make sure that everybody can manage any sort of conflicts together to try and get a good outcome from it. I can personally say, from living within the Worcester community myself, having children myself, older and younger, that the diversity that this establishment brings to the diverse people within the area is absolutely beautiful. I have lots of young farmers, older farmers, which actually go to these events themselves, that actually really enjoy the culture, to enjoy to know and how to learn and different. So it's not a big club with massive music and a big rave. It's actually really cultural, which I would encourage anybody to want to come and actually attend these events themselves, because they're really enjoyable. They're safe. You know, we feel safe there. As women, we feel safe there. We've got, you know, lots of different diversities that go there with different sexual orientation, different races, and it's just a lovely community spirit. And I just, you know, I want to add that into this, because these advertisements that the DJs put up on there, you'd look at that straight away and you're like, whoa, oh my goodness, that's like what's going on there then. It is a beautiful atmosphere. and we have lots of lovely cultures there. We have people which come in for the meals. Victoria has people that come for meals, sit down, and the tables are there still the same, so they stay, and they're like having fun and enjoying themselves. Any sort of compromise that Victoria, I know, can come to, because this is obviously giving her a lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights, you know, to be able to maintain this culture, to be able to help the community to come and embrace that with us also, we will do that. So if there is a compromise, we'll put something in place. So just to say, you know, can you look at this with sort of eyes where she is willing to put things there to help this event still carry on, and it is literally just a couple of times a month. Sorry, but thank you for hearing that.
Okay, can I just ask a question based on that?
Yeah.
Have you reached out to the people in this block behind you? Have you been to see them at all? Have you arranged any meeting with them?
I did, yeah, thank you for that. Christmas, there was someone who put a negative review, which is got on, and you all know what that is when people make negative review on a Google, and that has an advertisement on the business. I did send, when Adrian first came to tell me about this incident with the noise, immediately he mentioned the noises coming out. I went upstairs, shut the door and shut the window. And I did say to him that if there's any issue or he wants to, you're more than welcome to come and speak to me about it, and we could sit down. And even the email I shared with Nick, or with the WRS, I did say that I'm hoping the door is open. If anybody wants to talk to me, or I could come or arrange a meeting to go and speak, and then kind of like mitigate this differences that we have it. I was open for that. And most of the night that they said, well, let me just, sorry.
Do you recognise that as an offer? No.
I haven't seen an email to say about meetings, but that might have gone to environmental health, I don't know, but it's not something that's been raised with me.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, well, I think we've probably come to the end. Sorry.
Do we get to make a closing statement?
I don't think you do, no. No, we don't. I mean, strictly speaking, there isn't normally questions either, so at least you've had that. Charlotte, yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to clarify whether the applicant had any more comments, because I think I wasn't clear whether she'd properly finished. Have you said everything you need to say today? Yeah. Thank you then, Chair. Oh, yeah. So I was just going to say then, so as you all know, the licensing objectives are paramount, and that's our prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. You're only allowed to consider representations which relate to the licensing objectives, as you know. And one thing I would just flag is you can only consider oral representations that you've heard today that relate to the written representations, and you will need to go through and disregard the matters that don't relate to things that have already been raised in written representations.
And you'll guide us what those are.
Yeah, and then, so you're in a cumulative impact area. As you know, that affects effectively vertical drinking establishments between midnight and 5 a.m, but it is within that area. So that would mean that the starting point would be refusal, unless you're satisfied that to the cumulative impact in the area. You should give no less weight to representations that you've had in writing, so for your objectors that haven't attended today, you should give the same weight to their written representations that you've received as well. You must consider the Section 182 guidance, our statement of licensing policy, and then take the steps that you consider appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, and therefore either grant the application as requested, modify the conditions of the licence, or reject the application in whole or in part. I would just flag you shouldn't modify or add conditions just because it's desirable. It must be appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. And probably my first question, Chair, would just be whether we want to have a brief adjournment first just to determine if we're able to give an oral decision today or if we need to give it just in writing.
Okay, yes, we can do that. We're going to have our debate now, presumably, anyway, yeah, with the adjournment anyway.
With adjournment, yeah.
Yes, sorry, it was just whether we wanted to have a brief one and confirm to the parties whether we're happy to give an oral decision today or not. I'm just conscious there's quite a lot of paperwork we're going to have to go through.
Okay, all right, yes, we'll do that first. So to be clear then, there's going to be a very brief adjournment, which means everybody leaves the room. And we will then let you know whether or not we're going to be making an oral decision today or whether we're going to be putting something into writing. And then once we've told you that, another adjournment, a longer one, where we will have our discussion and make the deliberation.
Or if we're going to give a decision in writing, they can all go because they don't need to wait. That's the point of that.
Oh yes, sure, absolutely, yeah. everybody back who's coming back? We have come to a decision. This business is within a cumulative impact zone, which means the burden of proof to demonstrate that it would not add to the cumulative impact is on the business. The committee doesn't find that this threshold has been met, and therefore the application to extend the licence is refused. We find the business hasn't prepared a credible noise management plan or worked with local residents to address complaints. Although we aren't reviewing the current licence, the applicant hasn't helped their cause by demonstrating a lack of understanding of the current rules. This means we don't have sufficient confidence that extending the licence hours would not cause a public nuisance. Other matters raised today have been disregarded as not relevant. These are the reasons for our decision, and the legal officer will explain the next steps.
Thank you. So you'll get a written decision notice within 5 working days. Once you've received that, you've got a right of appeal to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days of that decision notice. The officer will be able to speak to you outside about alternative steps as well. Thank you.